Welcome to Wisdom Wednesday. I have our artist person, daughter, Je Devais, the joy of life, here with us today. She's going to be discussing art and or craft and how her grief has informed her art. Your name again and what it means, your handle.
Oh, my Instagram handle is Jus de Vive. And it's a funny little play on the French term joie de vivre, which sort of roughly translates to like a lust for life or like a joy for life.
Mhm.
But the French word jus means juice. So my handle means the juice of life,
The juice of life.
which I think is it's just funny. And it tends to piss off French people.
Yeah, I
Um,
like that.
yeah, which
Yeah.
I enjoy. Um, but yeah, what I had talked about in our earlier off the record call was how I've been considering the sorry, you can hear Gooby playing with her chew toy.
I can't.
Um,
Wish I could.
sorry. But um there's this sort of discourse around the differences between art and craft, and you can already sort of intuitively understand that difference as we understand it. People who are artists make art, and you think of like paintings, and specifically oil paintings and charcoal drawings, and like big crazy things that historically have been sort of gate-kept and left to be the pursuits of like some rich person. Craft, on the other hand, is something that you typically think of like your grandma engaging in. It's like scrapbooking, quilts, and paper mache. Typically just items that are meant to decorate a domestic atmosphere
Hmm.
using materials that are easily accessible. Whether
Okay.
that means you can find them for free or for cheap. It's sort of like the commoner's
Right.
art
It's
in a
like
lot
what
of
you can get
ways.
at Michael's, you know, place
Yeah. It's
or around
like
your house.
going, yeah, it's like Blick is to artists what Michael's is to
Correct.
the people,
The
I
people.
guess. And I find, you could probably do a critique on capitalism within that conversation, right? Like, why do we create this distinction between craft and art? And I think that might be a European or Western or American thing because so many other countries revere craft as a kind of art. That sounded really like pretentious, but that's true. Like the line is blurred in a lot of areas of the world. One thing that comes to mind is there is a huge scene, I guess, of cardboard artists in
Mhm.
Latin America, and that's
Hmm.
partially due to like piñata making,
Oh, I would
which
didn't
I
put
think is
together.
really cool. They're master cardboard artists out there. But speaking of paper, I'm definitely not a master, but the work that I've been doing lately has been in paper mache. And that's partially because I'm poor and partially because I'm interested in the pursuit of elevating a craft to an art.
Hmm.
And whether or not there really is a difference. My hypothesis is that the difference between a craft and an art is the intention behind it, or the value that is placed on the piece, either from you or from others.
Right, the value. And
Um,
as we know, um, historically, what would make something valuable, it's society puts value, right? Isn't that where?
yeah, it's usually pretty arbitrary.
Yeah.
Um, in the grand scheme of things, I guess. But yeah, so my paper mache pieces have also functioned as lanterns and lamps. And
So
my last,
utilitarian. Wait, so pardon me, I know you a little bit, but I didn't think about this last time. Very
Mhm.
utilitarian pieces that you're making.
Yeah, I think that I don't know if this is something that other more like working class artists think about as well, but I find it difficult for me to sit down and make a piece of art that exists just to exist. I find it hard for me to justify spending that time on something that is essentially useless, even though I like understand and value art for art's sake. Like this is a piece by Bella Lamontagne, one of my best
Ah!
friends, and an amazing collage artist. And this is meant to be on the wall just to be looked at. And I love it. I love looking at it. But for some reason, whenever I'm making something like that is just meant to go on the wall, there's this like, demon in the back being like, that's stupid. Like,
What a
that's
waste
a
of
waste of time.
time.
Yeah, you can't even do anything with it. And so my compromise is to make a piece of art that lights up, which think is a pretty good use. We tend to use lights every day. So
Yeah.
I've been making lanterns out of paper mache, and my most recent finished lantern is a pair of pants, and the one that I'm working on now is a baby.
Cool. So take me to those pants because you had a really great, the artist perspective, which I mean, I'm looking at these pants. I'm going to throw a picture of these pants in here. But I look at these pants and I see, pictures of you with your dad on one pant leg. And I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. She added her dad to the leg. But when you described it, it was like so much more. So tell me about your process, like with all of that.
Yeah, so the pants are made in the same way that you would make pants that you could realistically wear. They are reinforced paper panels that are sewn together, and they are supported by a pair of my dad's old cowboy boots and feature old photos of him and I on one of the legs. And the reason why, or I guess how the piece started, was as a continuation of a series that I started where I made a lantern of a shirt and a lantern set that hung on a clothesline. And the pants were meant to go with the shirt. It was just a white t-shirt, and I wanted to make blue jeans because I thought maybe I would do some kind of like Bruce Springsteen, uh, Born in the USA, whatever joke. But I ended up not going in that direction. I was thinking about, oh, well, what comes to mind when you think of pants? What do pants mean societally, I guess? And a few phrases kind of come to mind, like, oh, the one who wears the pants, putting your big girl pants on, putting your pants on one leg at a time, or whatever. And all of those phrases speak to um, accepting change and accepting responsibility and moving along with your day and your life. At least that's what I read into them. And the pants are sort of me kind of talking about how after my for my relationship with my father when I was little was uh really great. I was a really big fan of him, and I felt, it was just a classic like daddy daughter protecting loving relationship, and that dynamic changed as time went on and we became estranged, and I had this single mom who was working really hard to take care of us, and a little brother who I, took up some responsibility over because we suddenly were lacking in a parent, in the sense that he was elsewhere, not being a dad. But then he actually died. And so,
Like
um,
kind of suddenly,
suddenly,
tragically, like
yeah,
it was not, yeah, wasn't part of the
yeah,
long-term plan of possibly having a different relationship later on.
yeah. I had always in the back of my mind sort of hoped that we could make up, and our relationship could heal, but we never got that chance because he died. And it's been 5 years. I can laugh about it, but that was really difficult in and of itself, right? Like losing anybody suddenly is very difficult. But at that time, I then took on a different kind of responsibility with my little brother, that involved me assuming more of a parental role
Hmm.
in order to be there for him. And so the pants lantern is titled "The One Who Wore the Pants," as opposed to "The One Who Wore the Pants" or "The One Who Wears the Pants," whatever. And it's sort of meant to point in the direction of like, you know, usually it's one person wearing one pair of pants. But when I was in that phase of my life with my brother, it felt like I was sort of wearing my father's pants, like filling certain shoes. And how the reason why I included those photos of my dad and I from when I was little were to also nod to the time where I didn't have that kind of responsibility, and I was free to be a little girl, and felt secure in the fact that I was being taken care of and looked after. um and so that's what the pants lantern is about. I don't want to keep going on, but yeah, it's about just kind of like grieving that change in roles, because it's not just growing up.
Hmm.
um or maybe it is. Maybe that is what growing up is losing certain a certain identity and having to gain a new one. Um, everybody goes through that in some way, I imagine. But that's how I went through it, and that's how it felt for me.
I love it. Very cool. And they light up. So, and now
Yeah, and they light up so that I can say that it's um not just a pair of
functional.
pants that's yeah. Yeah.
And you are so you, like you said, this t-shirt, I know you're working on another lantern. You spoke of Bella, that you're shipping off to Bella. Bella's going to collage. And so you've got this collab piece going on. But the one in your,
Mhm.
and you'll have to send me pictures of these when we're finished, please. A few snapshots of your baby as in progress. But the one you're working on right
Mhm.
now is a baby lantern sculpture. And I had initially said to you, "Oh, is this because of your new baby sister that your dad left as a gift?"
Mhm.
But you had a totally,
Yeah.
again, you had a totally different thing. So tell us about the baby.
Yeah, well, I think that there's more than one valid interpretation of a piece of art. And I think that applying that context to the baby sculpture is not necessarily wrong because the sculpture is about, it's again about kind of accepting responsibility and keeping promises and maintaining um, love and inner love and goodness when things don't really work out the way that you initially thought. Because I started that piece as a part of a series with somebody else who um, is no longer
He's alive. He's just
around.
right. You're
He's
just
alive.
yeah. You're
He's alive.
grieving a relationship with someone.
Yeah, I'm grieving the loss of a relationship,
Mm.
or really the loss of a shared vision,
Mm.
which you can symbolize in the form of a baby. That's easy enough. People tend to do that literally. Um, and like like what happened with my little sister, what if you're pregnant and the dad disappears suddenly?
Yeah.
Whether he dies or takes off or, you know, any number of things that men do sometimes. Um, and it's too late for an abortion also. So like what are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
I could easily throw this baby sculpture away, but I had decided to finish it because um I'm processing what it means to carry on after a shared vision dies. Uh, can you redefine that or uh yeah, just kind of salvage it for from what's left and turn it into something new. I think that can be a really powerful thing. And so the baby initially, and I think this is still true, but it was about this the baby is gonna be all like fucked up looking. Um, I haven't done the head yet, but it is gonna have a big cone head,
Huge.
and it's going to have this sort of like proud confident gesture to it. And it was about, you know, standing firm in your love, even though it's a little bit fucked up or uh, imperfect. And I still do believe in that, whether or not the initial love that this baby was conceived and worked out or not. But now this piece is going to be about loving the fucked up thing that you made, even though the person that started it with you is not around anymore. Um,
Yeah,
you
and
know,
actually just
and
to like hold on to pause you there or to add,
yeah.
um, that I mean, just like you said, the dad could disappear of your literal baby. It could be any number of things that you start with an intention for it
Hmm.
to go somewhere, be somewhere, do something. And life comes in and I was like, ha ha.
Yeah.
And you have to decide like, is it worth and what is worth, but is it worth taking that and seeing what you can do with that little interruption?
Yeah. Because I was thinking, you know, was this idea solely ours, or do I still stand by this
Hmm.
idea and want to see it through? Am I personally invested in this, even when it's just me investing? And I found that, that answer doesn't always have to be yes. I would be just as justified you know, aborting it, but I'm choosing to carry it to term because I think that it is very important for me to continue dwelling on that question
Okay.
of like, does love have to be perfect for you to embrace it and be proud of it and show it off as well? Um, because I don't believe that anybody has a perfect relationship
No, it's
or
absolutely
that anybody is perfect. And I think that there's a lot of shame that comes with deviating from the norm in any way. And, coming up on my 25th birthday, I'm starting to
quarter of a century.
realize, yeah, I'm starting to realize that I think it's best not to fight the weird fucked upness of your life. It's probably better to acknowledge and embrace it and work with it as it is because I tried many times in my late teen and adult life to be regular and normal and like have a regular job and career, but it has not worked out and it and it feels a lot better to sort of just let myself be who I am. Even though that comes with its own cons, one of those being uh, poverty. So, yeah.
Are you saying you're a starving artist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I'd rather be I mean it's corny, but I would rather be like eating like bitchin' sauce and fruit and nut
Hey, both
bar.
of those are really pricey items, actually.
Yeah, and this is all I bought at the grocery
Are you
store.
are you dipping the chocolate in the bitchin' sauce?
No, I'm
Okay,
dipping the Triscuits you left at my house weeks ago
you're welcome.
in them.
Yummy.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well, I
I eat
think
the same thing every day and it's like Alcatraz prisoner food, but I get to also devote much of my time to coloring and
coloring,
gluing things
crafting.
together. Yeah, so that's what matters.
Yeah, it is. And well, I think you brought up a good point on shame. I just made a post about and I'm now in my posting era of being my weird, shameless self. And it's actually it's really scary. And I'm glad you're seeing this and acting upon it in your mid 20s because even though I've always kind of said of myself, I'm like, I do whatever I want, I don't care. Um, I think I did to a degree. And this other part of me was also thinking that I needed to present a certain way or look a certain way or do a job just for money to take care of my kids. And it's like, I did, but I also, and it was fine and it worked, but I also worked for years doing something I really didn't believe in. In fact, was like anti. And that ends up wearing on you. And I'm happy to say now that I don't see myself ever doing that again. So
Yeah.
I'll be eating some Alcatraz
Yeah.
with you if nobody's listening.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
That's okay.
there's much to be said about gruel.
Yeah.
I have lots of it. And it's good.
Lots of it.
It's good. You
Mm,
know,
good. Yeah.
you just
These
have to
are
change
your
your perspective.
yeah, these are your pieces behind me.
They are.
You did this summer. They look pretty intense. You did those in
Yeah.
New York? Yeah.
Hmm. Yes, I did them during a residency this past summer. And I guess I'm realizing now that a lot of my work is off-putting and contains heavier subject matter that when that diptych is also about death and dying and war crimes and genocide and seeing it on in between like two slime TikToks. So
Right?
yeah. Like how do you grieve for uh strangers, children you don't know, uh exploding every day right before your eyes? You can't really physically do anything about it.
Yeah, I think it's impossible and unnerving.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's my art.
Your art, I love it. Okay, and you have a show coming up in New York, I think you're planning.
Um, my some other person in my collective is putting on a show at the end of next month, which I may or may not fly out to. I think that I did some loose budgeting and I might be spending that money on tap dancing lessons instead. But
Living your true life.
yeah. Mm-hmm. But
Hmm.
I think in the early to mid-summer, I will probably have my own show in New York.
Oh yeah, and what's the name of your collective?
Common Ground.
And the point of your collective is
Well, it's a little bit nebulous, but our collective focuses on amassing resources and sharing them amongst emerging
oh,
artists
you're gonna
that are
share your cardboard
interested.
and your toilet paper. I like it.
Yeah, not that I have a lot to share, but like more about creating a community that is there to help other artists show their work because something that I really love doing is hosting shows, and not just so that I can put my art up on the wall and be like, I show all the time, you know. Um, it's more so that other people can show their work as well because I find that there are a lot of artists will go very long before they um, display their work in public at all. And it doesn't need to be a big uh, whatever. It doesn't need to be a big deal. They can just put their work up on a wall and we can invite a bunch of people over and they can come look at it.
Yeah,
It
house
can be very
shows.
casual.
Yeah, I think I've heard some artists talking about house shows and like how fun it is because no one's worried about is what art critic's going to come in or who's going to hate my work or will no one show up because it's just a bunch of
It's a bunch of
people who love each
nobodies.
other. Yeah,
Yeah, which is cool.
which is cool.
I
Yeah,
like being a nobody and I like working with other nobodies for the sake of enjoying ourselves and the love of hashtag art. So
like art.
that's where I'm at.
Okay, cool. All right, je devais, the juice of life, joy of life, out there
Uh-huh.
pissing off the French.
Maybe.
Um, cool. Well, thank you for sharing all that with me for a second time. I appreciate it.
You're
And
welcome.
I hope it recorded this time.
Me too.
Oh yeah, I did. Okay, cool. All
All
right.
right.
I love
Love
you.
you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye bye.
I look in the sky, I see